Is there a space in the library that you think is ideal for quiet concentration?
I like the stacks. I think the stacks are a great place for quiet. I'll just do it again.
I am Lawrence Scotty.
My name is Isabel.
My name's Neosha.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
I'm Jariah Claire. I'm a 2D animation major.
I'm a senior in critical and visual studies.
I'm a comedy senior.
I'm a Pratt student, painting major, senior.
I'm a art direction student at Pratt Institute.
And I work at the library at the circulation desk as a student worker.
I think the Pratt library is just like, I mean, I think it like, firstly is sort of like a selling point of Pratt, like all the like ads for Pratt like have the library because it's like a significant sort of like historical part of the campus.
It's a really just pretty building, and I think it's a nice place to hang out.
I think the library is beautiful. Like I like coming in here just to see the staircase and see the floors. Like every time I walk in the front lobby, I like am just staring at the floors.
I think the stacks are really pretty.
The architecture is really cool, like the glass floors and shit.
And if I'm bringing somebody here on a tour, I would definitely show it to them just as like an aesthetic part of the campus.
It's funny because I'll hear them saying like the same 3 facts about the library. One of them is about the glass in the stacks being like Tiffany commissioned, and they frosted it so people couldn't look up the skirts of women.
But I can't say I really use the books that often.
I don't use its resources as much as I think I could.
I think it's just not really the best fit for me a lot of the time.
I used to use the library a lot more often than I do now. I think freshman year I used it probably 1 or 2 days a week. Now I don't really come in here anymore.
During foundation year, definitely a lot. Teachers really wanted to get us into like the habit of using it, so they'd have us like borrow books or just come in here to draw or do whatever they could really get out of the library, I think.
I am always like surprised just because, you know, like the reference librarians give like classes during the day on like how to use the library, and they're like always over there. So I'm always surprised when students are like, you know, how do I check out a book? Or like, you know, they just like don't understand like the facilities or where to find something. And I don't know particularly how that could be more clear to them because there are already like a lot of things in place.
I see students using the library the same way that I did, just using it as a quiet place, really relaxed, to do their homework.
I mainly use it to rent projectors, so it's like a quick in and out.
Maybe like twice a month.
Once or twice a week.
Check out as many books as they can, probably too many sometimes.
I have like 20 checked out right now.
Can't read all of them.
I don't think Pratt students are like fully aware of like how the library can help like accommodate them, you know? Like I don't think Pratt students realize how expansive like the archives are, you know? And the periodicals, like we have so many periodicals on like ranging like way back, and like especially if you're like a design student, I feel like it's a really good resource for you.
I've heard that there's a really killer Vogue collection downstairs in the basement, and so I've been planning on going down to check those out for like 2 years now. It still hasn't happened, but one of these days before I graduate.
I like working on the computer here at the library, and then I'll also look at all the magazines. So sometimes I'll scan them or take photos of them, but that's usually the section that I spend the most time in.
I'm doing some visual research about children's books.
I pretty much did all my homework at the library before I started working there, so I figured why not just get paid to then just sit at the desk and do my homework.
I use the library a lot for printing because you can do double-sided paper here, and you can't do double-sided paper in the printing studios, or at least I haven't been able to. And then I come here probably like 2-3 times a week to study.
I definitely use the library website more than I use the library itself.
The website is probably the one thing about the library I use the most to access the databases for research papers.
Like, it has so many resources, so I usually find exactly what I'm looking for.
I don't think there was ever a time I needed something they didn't have it.
I'll use the library website before I come in if I'm looking for a specific book.
Most books that my teachers assign like are here, you know, and like my research I usually can accommodate here, but like also, you know, Pratt does like interlibrary loans with like other libraries in the Brooklyn area. We do Connect New York, so like we, you know, if what you can't find, there's resources to go further.
I've never come here and it's been closed, so I feel like the hours work pretty well.
By closing time, there are not that many people here. Typically stragglers or people who have used the library to sleep and now need to be awoken to then go home.
I think on Sundays they open a little bit later. And I think I've had times where I wish I had like a couple more hours in the morning, but that's about it.
The days I do have class, like I might come during lunchtime, but generally not so much. But I would say, if anything, I wish it was open later, just because I feel like I come and I get in my groove, and then the bell sounds, and then I have to leave.
I'm usually like, oh, good, I get to go home now.
It's a little disappointing, but I'm not complaining about it.
When it gets to be like closing time, like at 11, like at 10:30 or so, there's not more than like probably like 5 or 6 students in the library. Like it's usually dwindled out like a lot, and usually the people who are here during closing are here like every evening.
I don't think I've ever been here when they've closed. Just because of the whole hour thing, I tend to not really work in here. It's a place where people are kind of working and not really needing a whole lot of supervision or anything. So I think it's, you know, a space that can kind of be open all the time. But I don't know, it might be more complicated than that.
Is there a space in the library that's ideal for quiet concentration?
The stacks. The stacks are the best.
Anywhere in the stacks works well for quietly doing work.
I really like to use the stacks for quiet.
I haven't found a spot that's disruptive.
I think a lot of people sort of think that everywhere in the library is a quiet zone, and some people are maybe frustrated when other people are like talking at a normal volume. But I do believe that the system is that like the higher you go in floors, the like more of a quiet zone it is, technically.
I don't mind the main rooms, but they're just really large and loud and a little drafty. But if you go into the stacks, there's some nice corners, there's couches. If you can find like a table on the 4th floor and just zone in.
Probably the upper levels. I don't know, I think the lower levels of the stacks kind of creep me out, but the upper ones feel, when I can see like a window or something, when there's like some sunshine, it's nice.
The problem is they don't have outlets a lot of the time by the tables, so I have to make sure my computer's fully charged, go in, find somewhere to sit, and then sometimes the battery roll dies, and then I have to come down here and I have to charge it, and then charge, and I can go back to the stacks.
A lot of people just don't like to use the library, I know personally, just because they can't really talk so much. And myself included, I think definitely a lot of us get into the habit of making a lot of noise while we work. So, you know, not wanting to disturb people is part of it, I think.
We have studio, like we have a junior and senior studio that everybody kind of forms a community in more so than the library. I feel like the library is very individual work, whereas whenever you're surrounded by your peers in a community, you can start talking and ideas bounce around, and it's just, for me, it's a little bit more productive.
I sleep at my apartment, but I spend most of my time in my studio, and I have my little Keurig, and I have my fluffy chair, and I have my desk, all my paint, like everything I need is there.
Not much has changed. It's really hard to get change through at the library. There's a lot of bureaucratic stuff that I've seen. So it's pretty much been all the same since I've been here. And I've only been here a year and a half, but I haven't really seen anything change. Other than maybe one section of books is now in a different area. That's pretty much it.
A lot of the things that the Pratt Library offers could be more known to the students. And I don't know if that's a fault of like the student body or the library.
I think what I would like to use it for is for like photography purposes. Like I would like to use it as like a setting to shoot, but it can be a little difficult sometimes to do that because there's a lot of paperwork involved and it has to get approved.
I don't know, like if I were to go to grad school, like I probably would go for library sciences, but like I haven't really thought about that much. It's also like working at the library is the most it's the most like you could actually go like and work at another library. Like, you know, you wouldn't be a librarian, but a lot of two people who worked at the circ desk went on to work at like one girl works at like the Harlem Public Library or something, doing more like a secretary position, but like they're like it's a job. But I also just like think the Pratt Library has a really good collection, so